following is a presentation of the NTRA in association with ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
It's America's oldest racetrack, built during the Civil War. For 6 weeks each summer, Saratoga Racecourse draws the world's greatest thoroughbreds and is a magnet also for all those humans who love the game. For the 135th time, racing is underway today at the renamed corner of Funnyside and Birdtown.
The road to the World Thoroughbred Championships, powered by Dodge.
Today, the Spa kicks off its 135th meeting with back-to-back Grade 1 stakes, starting with the $500,000 Diana Handicap. After winning last weekend's $750,000 Delaware Handicap and the $500,000 Coaching Club American Oaks, red-hot trainer Bobby Frankel is bringing the heat to Saratoga. Heat Hayes. But in their path are Chris Clement and Voodoo Dancer, hoping to work some magic of their own in the Diana. And later in the $250,000 test stakes, Nick Zito and Kentucky Oaks winner Birdtown go for their third straight Grade 1 victory. But the filly they vanquished last time in the Acorn is back, Lady Tack, and the conditions are ripe for her to turn the tables on Zito's star. Welcome, sports fans, to Saratoga. In addition to the test and the Diana, if that's not enough, from jolly old England and Ascot, the King George and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes ought to be presented by John Deere. John Deere is involved in that whole division. This race, Randy, you think it's a good one, do you not?
I think that the King George is probably the best race run so far this year in the world.
Not the way it was run, but the quality of the field.
I celebrated with tea and crumpets for lunch.
And that's all leading forward to the Oak Tree meet at Santa Anita in October. We're getting ready in the same way that we went forward and looked at all the prep races leading to the Triple Crown Series. We're doing that right now toward the Breeders' Cup, and what better place than Saratoga? It takes you back in time. There's such richness and history. Any fan of horse racing has got to come here.
This is one of the most magical venues, not just in horse racing, but in all of sports. It has the charm, it has the history, it has the beer garden at Ciro's right next door. This is the Yankee Stadium of horse racing. Parts of the movie Seabiscuit were filmed here. Seabiscuit actually raced at Saratoga, but those weren't the good old days. The good old days at Saratoga are right now. The crowds have never been bigger. The horses have never been faster. The little kids are having a good time. 40 Grade 1 winners stabled here at Saratoga. The joke is 30 of them are in Bobby Frankel's barn. Not really true, but it just seems like it sometimes. 5 Grade 1 winners in our 2 races today, and many more we hope to bring you over the next month.
Our man Kenny Rice is with us again, and he's now going to gush even further about this great race place.
Thanks, Kenny. One of the unique aspects here at Saratoga, the horse path that divides the front lawn, where fans can get an up-close look at the horses as they walk through here on their way to the paddock for the next race. It is a very intimate atmosphere, combining a day at the races with a walk in the park, and thousands come from all over to enjoy it. You can actually see the horses walk by, return to your picnic lunch, glance up at the monitor, and watch the next race. That is the beauty of Saratoga. It can be a day for the diehard fan or a day for the family. And you know, there are pro franchises and cities spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build new stadiums to give that old, comfortable feel for the fans. Here at Saratoga, they just open the gates each July. Kenny?
Kenny, may have misappropriated great race place. I think that's Santa Anita's official title. This place, too, great. Saratoga, and we have it a mile and 1/8, Grade 1. Actually could be a headliner, Randy. This Diana Handicap, $500,000 a stake.
It's a championship quality field, and of course Bobby Frankel is present. He's won the last 2 runnings of this race. He's got Heat Hayes and Pertua Sane. Mariinsky scratched earlier today.
Wanted a softer going.
But Christophe Clement also has Voodoo Dancer, who's the program favorite, and she was beaten just a nose in this race last year. Snow Dance was 3rd in last year's Diana, beaten just a length, but the field gets even deeper. Delta Princess, trained by Billy Mott's a good horse. Wonder again, one of the favorites, and she loves Saratoga. Quick Tip, ridden by Pat Day, and another Grade 1 winner, one of 3 in this race, Risk Averse, ridden by John Velasquez.
Value at 8-1. We're coming right back to show you that race. Voodoo Dancer, who narrowly lost this one last season, is back to try again. We're coming right back. The 65th running of the Diana coming up from Saratoga right after this.
Championships. Powered by Dodge. This ESPN presentation of the Test Stakes is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. By Citgo, we know you. By Budweiser, the best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. By Long John Silver's new buckets of crunchy shrimp.
There's the crowd at Saratoga awaiting the Diana, which we'll show to you real soon, about 7 minutes away. Long lines also nationwide. Opening last night of the movie Seabiscuit. Randy elected not to go with us. You had to deal with your wife not to see it without her.
Right, correct.
Good husband.
She held up her end of the bargain first, and I held mine up last night.
You don't know that right now. My wife didn't care. She likes horse racing. We went. Popcorn was salty. The movie very good. This was the debut earlier in the week in Los Angeles.
I mean, you know, seeing this many people pour out for a Hollywood premiere is kind of unbelievable.
Our goal was to make a really honorable, moving picture, and I'm glad that people so far have been responding to that.
I got no complaints. I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world. You know, I'm very happy.
Gary Stevens did a marvelous job acting throughout the whole movie. I thought Gary was magnificent in this. He was so simple, so dignified.
This role is like a wave that's building momentum. It's gotten bigger with each hour.
A lot of acting is like sports, you know, it's working with other individuals. In his case, he's working with a horse, which is not that different from working with people, really.
I could never be a jockey, and I love it. I love being on horseback. It was very exciting being on Thoroughbred, but these guys are the toughest, most rugged professional athletes there are, and I could never dream of doing their job.
The opening in Boise, Gary Stevens' hometown. He played George Wolfe in the movie, did a lot of writing and a lot of talking while writing. There's Gary Stevens back in his hometown, got his racing start there as well. Also opened up here at Saratoga Springs. Good charity fundraiser. Big timers coming to see it. Well, how'd they make the movie with film? How'd they do the racing scenes?
It's going to be the first time that a person can be a jockey and know what it feels like to ride in a horse race.
It's rough, it's violent, it's exciting, and how do you really convey all that nuance? Well, you have to put people inside the horse race. There's no other way to do it. And we did that by utilizing a techno crane on a camera car, which could move and swoop in or around the horses as we would go. Chris McCarron, who was designing and choreographing the races along with me, and was as instrumental in getting those shots as the camera operator was. I would be talking to the camera car. Chris McCarron would be talking to the jockeys on another radio. It was a real ballet of a lot of people using a lot of different skills.
I saw some of the footage, and the feeling that you get when a horse is driving down the home stretch, it's exceeding my expectations by far. It's just unbelievable.
On the stop point. On the stop.
In the same way, people were wearing bad truckers' hats for a while in vogue. The Seabiscuit merchandise is taking off. In fact, our models here, Jorge Chavez, Corey Nakatani, and Sean Bridgmohan, it's the rage. They'll be wearing them under their silks up here at Saratoga. Get that at ntra.com if you want to buy some for yourself. Well, we got the Diana coming up in just a matter of minutes. Randy, you remember last year's rendition of it. If this race today can be anywhere near as good as last year, we'll all go home happy. Very close run all the way to the wire. Tate's Creek, a nose over Voodoo Dancer when they came to the wire. Tate's Creek racing today at Del Mar, but Voodoo Dancer right back here to race again in the Diana at 1 1/8 miles. Corey Nakatani wearing the Seabiscuit wear underneath the green there. This one was the favorite last year in the Diana.
Right, and Voodoo Dancer was the program favorite here. Now the second betting choice. Trainer Christophe Clement not exactly oozing confidence today. He scratched the other half of the entry, Mariinsky, and he almost scratched Voodoo Dancer at noon today because of some concern about the turf course. Voodoo Dancer likes the grass hard and firm. The harder the better. It rained here heavily Wednesday, Thursday. He was afraid the course might be a little too soft, but he saw the weather forecast today, and even though he doesn't think Voodoo Dancer might run her very, very best test race over this course. He thinks she'll run well enough to be competitive.
No Tate's Creek in here, but another Juddmonte horse. Heat Hayes is going from the inside, has an entrymate with her as well. The Buyers, nothing to write home about, Randy, with this one, but you can't knock the success after coming over to the U.S.
No, and you can't knock the way that she's been winning. I mean, that's why she's the 9-5 favorite. In her last start at Churchill Downs on the Derby undercard, the Citgo Distaff Mile, she set a stakes record in there despite getting left at the starting gate, racing wide at the top of the lane. She ran the last quarter mile in that race in 22 seconds flat, which is racehorse time, and she's undefeated in this country in 3 starts. A half-sister to Banks Hill, former champion, and of course you got a champion jockey there in Jerry Bailey, who rode Tate's Creek last year.
Wonder again is another people are looking at strongly. She's 3-1, but before we get to her, I want to talk about Snowdance. Kenny Rice has all sorts of information on the grade.
Kenny, I talked to trainer John Ward a few minutes ago. He said after the Sheep's Head Bay, that was back in May at Belmont on a soft track, Snowdance was as tired as any horse he had ever trained. But then she bounced back in a strong fashion, winning the New York Handicap by a length, doing it in under 2 minutes for 1.25 miles. That was on a firm track. He's happy that the sun is out and the track is firm here at Saratoga today, because Snowdance, winner of 2 out of 3 here at Saratoga, is closing in on becoming a millionaire. He thinks that she deserves it and likes her chances of being in contention here today because of the surface, Kenny.
Randy, you like the fact she has a lot of speed up front, too.
Yeah, she's at a tactical advantage because there's very little speed in this race. You saw Richard Migliore dismount. That's because she has problems at the starting gate, and they usually want to load Snowdance first before they load any other horses. And I think that's what they're trying to do right now, is go ahead and get her in the gate and then get Migliore back on her. I'm just sort of hypothesizing here that that's what they're doing, but that's what they've often done with Snowdance when she gets to the gate.
Sometimes they put on the special blanket to give them that little comfort feel. We saw that a bunch of times at Keeneland earlier.
Yeah, that was a Monty Roberts thing, a horse whisperer thing. Sometimes if you put a blanket over their hindquarters, it makes them feel more secure, even inside the gate. And of course, it comes off. But you see, Snowdance had no problems going in, and now the Mig is going to hop back on.
Wonder again is ready for a close-up there. Edgar Prado's up on her.
Wonder again is sort of the opposite of Voodoo Dancer. She likes a little give to the course. She likes it a little soft and squishy, and she also loves Saratoga. She's 2 for 2 at Saratoga. She might be the horse to beat in here. I mean, she is really in good form, and assuming that she doesn't get too far back behind a slow pace, she's got a great shot.
Players have her 3-1. We didn't get a picture of Delta Princess, but that one's not to be forgotten either.
No, that would be our Bud Long shot if we had one in this race. She's hovering around the 15-1 range, and she's got a chance to win, just like a lot. She's beaten Voodoo Dancer this year.
Let's not cheat Tom Durkin. He's a fine race caller. Go upstairs right now for the call of the Diana.
All right, the final horse, Risk Averse, moving into line. Ready for the start of the 65th Diana. And they're off. Oh, a horrible start there for Snowdance. Just as soon as they sprung the latch, she jumped up in the air. It has cost her dearly. And it's Wonder again and Delta Princess and Risk Averse to vie for the early lead. Just in behind them, it's Quick Tip, and to her inside, Pertuis Ann. And then Voodoo Dancer at the back of the pack, along with Heat Hayes. And after a disastrous beginning, Snowdance is the trailer. Into the clubhouse turn. Delta Princess is the leader. Wonder again is second. Risk Averse on the outside. Pace is temperate, 24 seconds flat for the opening quarter. Pertuis Ann is well held while saving ground, running in 4th position. Then Quick Tip, Voodoo Dancer down on the inside of Heat Hayes. 3.5 lengths back to Snowdance, who remains unhurried. They're beginning the run down the backstretch here. And up top, Delta Princess leads the way. Wonder again, sitting chilly. So too Risk Averse, who's in the clear and on the outside, running along in 3rd. The half in 49 seconds flat. The pace is very sensible. Advantage, Delta Princess down the backstretch. Wonder again, glued to her and moving sweetly. On the outside, Risk Averse runs in 3rd. Pertuis Ann. Quick Tip. Heat Hayes 5 lengths from the lead as they approach the far turn. Voodoo Dancer has 1 horse beaten. That's Snowdance. The field on the far turn now. And it's Delta Princess and Wonder again. Risk Averse, they've been 1, 2, 3 all the way around the racetrack. Pertuis Ann right in behind them. Here comes Heat Hayes now, and Heat Hayes is right there in the thick of it. And Voodoo Dancer swings into action. She's fanned 5 wide as the field turns for home. Wonder again powers up short lead. Risk Averse comes bursting on through. Heat Hayes is right there. Voodoo Dancer on the outside. 5 stacked across the track. 1 furlong to go. Voodoo Dancer and Heat Hayes nip and tuck between those two. Voodoo Dancer short lead. Heat Hayes fights on. They're coming down to the line. Those two sprinting under the wire. Voodoo Dancer wins it by a nose. Heat Hayes was second, and Pertuzan finished third. A three-way photo for fourth money. Well, she lost it by a zop last year. She won it by a zop this year. Corey Nakatani aboard Voodoo Dancer.
Voodoo Dancer turning things around from last year. This one not quite as close as that photo, but Voodoo Dancer coming sweeping on the outside. When they came to the 8th, as he described, there were like 5 in contention for this thing.
Oh, yeah, and it looks just like the race that we saw last year in the Diana, except Voodoo Dancer gets up. It's Juddmonte as well this year. Last year it was Juddmonte Farms Tate's Creek that got her nose in front of Voodoo Dancer. This year it's Juddmonte Farms Heat Hayes that Voodoo Dancer has to outrun to get the job done, and she does by a head. That's the second win in this race for trainer Christophe Clement. And he should have been more confident, actually.
The added weight of the 100% cotton Seabiscuit shirt underneath Corey Nakatani's silks. Amazing win on animal number 2B. Voodoo Dancer, the winner here in the 65th running of the Diana. Coming back for more information on this, more live racing. Plus, we're going over to Europe. Stay around.
A great road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Powered by Dodge.
Back here at Saratoga, reminding you horse racing all over the place on ESPN. ESPN2 Tuesday, wire to wire, debuting this week, 2 o'clock Eastern time. Then next Saturday, the Whitney Handicap. That's here from Saratoga. Medalla de Oro is going to be in that one. They're fighting to get a Zeri Horse of the Year. First time against the boys. Maybe see if that comes to be. And then the next day, Sunday, from Monmouth, the Haskell on ESPN2. Funny Sides racing in that. And up here at Saratoga on the same day, just minutes apart, in the Jim Dandy, it's Empire Maker going. Racing next weekend. There's your winner. Voodoo Dancer, 11th win in 20 starts. Career earnings now $1.4 million and change.
And there's jockey Corey Nakatani, and there's a look at the start. The gray horse down along the inside, rearing at the start. That is Snow Dan. She usually has problems going in the gate, but not coming out of the gate. She certainly did today. She was expected to set the pace, and of course, you could see very quickly that wasn't going to happen.
Right after Kenny Rice had spoken so fondly of her as well. The stretch run, as Tom Durkin described, Voodoo Dancer setting up far outside. You see there in the blue, coming in the blue green cap. But as they hit the 8th, they're about 5 across the track that can win this.
Yeah, she was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, turning for home. That's Heat Hayes directly to her inside. Ironically, Christophe Clement had booked a flight for Voodoo Dancer to Del Mar to run her in the Maybe today because he thought the course was going to be too soft. Then he canceled the flight. Then he second-guessed himself for canceling the flight, but now all's well that ends well.
Second Diana Handicap win for Christophe Clement. Right now, Kenny Rice has a good interview set up.
Kenny, I'm with the winning jockey, Corey Nakatani, who just said she is a nice little mare. You know her well. You've ridden her on the West Coast. You've ridden her here at Saratoga. Been to the winner's circle both times.
Well, I tell you, she's a special filly. Christopher asked me to come ride her, and I was very fortunate to have the chance. So I just love her. She lays her heart down on her on the racetrack, and not much more you can ask. As turning for home, I'll tell you, the race, she's in the beginning, I kind of moved in a little bit and was positioned pretty much where I wanted to be, just nice and comfortable. Jerry moved up on the outside of me at the 5/8 pole, and he pretty much secured the outside position, and I just bided my time from there. And turning from home, you'll see is I was just sitting there waiting and pretty much waiting to push the button. And when I did, she leveled off and gave me what she needed.
Well, everyone had judged the pace, and it was okay, but you knew that there was going to be a charge for home with the way the race was shaping.
Well, there wasn't a lot of pace in the race.
Yeah.
It didn't appear that way. I didn't think there was. So my main thing is to get her to relax and let her run her best race, and that's what I do.
All right, congratulations, Corey Nakatani.
Great,
aboard Voodoo Dancer. Voodoo Dancer with 7 different track victories, and of course here at Saratoga, nosed out last year, comes back and wins the Diana this year. Kenny?
10th straight in the money finish for Voodoo Dancer, this time on the top end, paying $7.20. Heat Hayes and its entry mate, Pertuzan, going 2nd and 3rd, so that eats up the show money there. Coming in 4th, which is 3rd for the purposes of a trifecta, was risk averse. The Florida finish seen right here.
Well, Bobby Frankel doesn't win them all. We find out that he finished 2nd and 3rd with Heat Hayes and Pertuzan. And Corey Nakatani flying all the way in from Del Mar for the mount. If you're ever in Del Mar, you never want to leave. But if you have to leave, Saratoga's the place to come.
Good thing we got that late mention on Delta Princess. She finished last. We're coming right back. We're going across the pond to see some racing from England. Ascot is coming up next, and we still have live racing to come from Saratoga. Stay around. If you want to be like Demetrius Katsarth, the owner of Voodoo Dancer, but have no clue, go to thegreatestgame.com. You can learn about being a racehorse owner. You might get a Voodoo Dancer, provided Demetrius will sell it to you. And earlier in the card, huge performance. Maiden 2-year-old Value Plus. Might be hearing more about this one.
Definitely hearing a lot more about him. This was his first career start. He's the son of Unbridled Song. He was a Universal Good Thing, the 1-2 favorite, won by nearly 9 lengths in fast time and trained by Todd Pletcher, who is off to another hot start at Saratoga.
As long as we're speculating all the way into next spring, might as well speculate a little more immediate. Breeders' Cup Futures available for action today.
This is the first of 3 pools for the Breeders' Cup Futures, similar to the Kentucky Derby Futures that we all know and love, except the first Breeders' Cup pool here limited, I believe, to 3 races.
One of the differences is that the field limits in the Breeders' Cup race is smaller than, say, in the Kentucky Derby. So you're betting many times now it's going to come with a greater value because a lot of these are going to get wiped off the table to begin with.
That's an interesting point. I mean, 20 horses race in the Kentucky Derby, so at least you can be semi-confident that if your horse is good enough to make the earnings list, then he'll make it into the field. Not so necessarily.
I think Mike Watchmaker actually made that point, but it sure sounded good. Medaglia d'Oro 5-1. That's the early betting going on. Mineshaft has done nothing wrong lately.
That's actually the beginning odds. There's a very little bet right now in the pool, but that will change once we get a little further into the weekend. Sunday is when the wagering actually closes.
Azeri would love to see her run against the boys. That might even happen. Could you see her getting shifted over to the Classic?
Well, you know, she was actually part of the Classic pool for betting. She opened at 15-1, just in case she winds up going in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but a very solid favorite in the distaff division, as she deserves to be, probably.
Birdtown, you saw that, will be running later here.
Shake You Down, who is on a huge winning streak for trainer Scott Lake. That big buyer speed figure last time is the deserving 4-1 opening favorite for the sprint future wager over the Bobby Frankel trained Aldebaran and Midas Eyes, trained by Frankel. Look at Congaree there at 12-1, but he probably won't run in the sprint. He'll probably wind up going in the Classic Congaree.
Of course, everyone knows you get updated odds at NTRA.com. High Chaparral, winner last season at Arlington.
I said 3 divisions wagering today, actually 4. The Classic, the Sprint, the Distaff, and the Turf division. And we'll hear more about the Turf division very soon.
To the turf right now is something Kenny Rice has been following because, as Randy described at the top of the show, the greatest race of the year in thoroughbred racing took place earlier today. We saw it. Kenny Rice paid great attention to it.
Kenny, it's a big race indeed. The King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes run earlier today at Ascot in England. Now, in this field of 12-10 were Group 1 winners. As we take a look at the John Deere Turf Division standings, certainly our strongest race top to bottom so far on the road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. 4 of the top 5, 6 of the top 10 in these standings, including Alamshar, the winner of the Irish Derby, and Suleimani, who was second the last time out. Also, Chris Ken making his first start since winning the Epsom Derby. Now we take a look at the field today for the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes, where Chris Ken was the second choice behind Naef. Naef, the 3-1 favorite in there, coming off the victory in the Prince of Wales Stakes. Suleimani at 9-2, the third choice, had won the Dubai Sheena Classic earlier this year. Alamshar was the 6.5-1 choice in this field. We had some rain today over there, so the turf was officially listed as good to firm, good in places. And now we take a look at the rest of the field in this race. And there you see Chris Ken at 7-2, at 13 with a couple of scratches. He breaks from the outside. $1.2 million in U.S. 3-year-olds and up, running 1.5 miles again over a turf that was good to firm. Here's the race. The race was run earlier today.
Ascot racing at 3:51. Here's commentary.
Racing then for the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes. And immediately leaving the stalls, Darrell Holland has elected to go over to the far side rail on Falbrav Racing, all alone under the trees. So Falbrav in splendid isolation over on the far side beneath the trees. Then against the rail, showing the way there is Izdihan, the pacemaker, also prominent against that near side rail. We have both Leadership and Victory Moon. Just in behind runners Paul and Eric. Then Naef, who's a little bit wide of these. Further back then to Alamshar, who's accompanied with Millinery. And further back in behind the leaders as they continue on towards Swinley Bottom is Grandira. So they level off then and head down towards Swinley Bottom, and Falbrav, who's gone the scenic route beneath the trees, still out on his own on that far side. Against the fence then we have Izdiham, who's showing the way to Alamshar, who's moved into a prominent position. Further back then to leadership with Nayef, Polyneric and Victory Moon. Chris Kinn is in midfield on the outside of runners, and after Chris Kinn we have Warsan on the inside. Further back then to Suleimani, who's got just a couple behind there. Grandira and Millery is the overall back marker. So they head on now inside the final 7 furlongs, and still racing wide of the field is Falbrav. Izdiham takes the main body along from Alamshar in second in that group. Nayef has gone into 3rd place behind these, and then comes leadership. Polyneric travelling quite nicely as they come on now towards the final 5 furlongs. Falbrav now coming back to the field, only about a length in front, and still maintaining this wide course from Izdiham towards the fence in second. In 3rd place, having had a perfect run throughout so far, is Alamshar, then Nayef, who's coming up there strongly as well. Further back to Polyneric, and then comes leadership, who's pressed by Chris Kinn on the outside. Victory Moon is being driven along. They're inside the final half mile, and it's Izdiham. From in 2nd place, Alamshar. Nayef 3rd, Falbrav. The move doesn't look to have paid off. He's now struggling in 4th. They level off the home turn in the King George. Izdiham is still in front. Alamshar in 2nd. Nayef has gone 3rd. Then leadership. Falbrav trying to come back for more. Suleimani being produced with an effort, and then Polyneric. Inside the 2 they go, and Alamshar goes on. The Irish Derby winner kicks away from Nayef. Falbrav on the outside, then Suleimani staying on well. Here's the final furlong. Alamshar leads by 4 lengths. In 2nd place now Suleimani. Falbrav can't go on. Polyneric running on with Chris Kinn, but they're well inside the closing stages, and Alamshar is going to run out. A brilliant winner of the King George, racing up towards the line. Alamshar wins the King George the 6 and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes. Home in 2nd, Suleimani. Chris Kinn was 3rd.
Ranked #1 in the world and will stay there. Alamshar is the winner. The Irish bred finishing ahead of Suleimani and Chris Kinn. So not much change will take place in the world standings. Owned by the Aga Khan, trained by John Ox, ridden by Johnny Murtaugh today. Now, Daylami and Fantastic Light have both come out of this race to go on to win the Breeders' Cup Turf. Swain, a winner of the King George, also came in 1998 to run 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Classic. With the victory today, Alamshar becomes just the 2nd 3-year-old in the last 8 years to win the King George the 6th and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes. Kenny, Randy?
And that winner not Breeders' Cup nominated?
Not a Breeders' Cup nominee, so if they decide to run him in the Breeders' Cup Turf, you're talking $400,000 supplement.
You saw that graphic, the 350 at Ascot. We're waiting on the 546 at Saratoga. They go by time over there. We go by race number. It's the 9th, the 78th running of the test. This one for 3-year-old fillers. They're going 7 furlongs on the dirt.
A real rarity, a Grade 1 stakes for 3-year-old fillies at a sprint distance. You don't see
Let's find
that.
out about the world rankings. And even though in the Breeders' Cup it's not handicapped, that's how they rank them with weight, giving you the same indication, sort of like rankings in a football poll.
You've got a 6-person panel that do these rankings. 3 from the U.S., 1 from England, 1 from France, and
they
1
wear
from
white
Ireland.
Azeri should have butterbean on her back. Should she not? I mean, she's ridiculous right now.
And she is, of course, a 4-pound top choice there over Sightseeking Wild Spirit. Again, those 2 trained by Bobby Frank.
Well, let's meet this field individually. The 9th, 7 furlongs, Hallery Lee. First stakes event.
Yeah,
for her. Shane Sellers up this time.
And she's coming off a win at Churchill Downs, going 7 furlongs in fast time against older fillies and mares. That could be very important. Shane Sellers will get them out.
Lady Tack has Jerry Bailey. Again, she won her first 5 races in her career, had a few losses, just ahead, though, off of Birdtown in the Acorn.
And this is a look at the Acorn. Lady Tack had traffic trouble in that race. Some thought that she was the best horse, and the K in the gavel indicates that she is a Keeneland sales graduate. Jerry Bailey up.
Molto Vita, big long shot here in her first stakes.